Hello, welcome back to Grace Walk Farm. I'm Amber, and so many of you commented on my last garden tour and you said, yes, we want to know the best medicinal herbs to grow in a backyard garden, and you want to know how to use them. So today I'm going to take you on a quick little tour of all of the herbs that I'm currently growing in my backyard garden, and maybe give you some suggestions and ideas for tea plants that you can incorporate in your own garden, whether you're growing a vegetable garden or an herb garden or a tea garden or a mix of the three like I do. So let's dive in and let me show you some of my favorite herbal friends. We're going to kick off our medicinal garden tour with one of my favorites right here beside me. It's Feverfue. Look at these beautiful little blooms. They look like tiny daisies, sort of similar to chamomile, but the blooms are slightly bigger. Feverfue is my favorite herb for headaches. Now, like the name suggests, Feverfue, it can help with fever reductions as well, but Feverfue is almost like a little Tylenol alternative. You can use it for lots of things, but it is best known as a migraine remedy. And you can make a tincture by soaking Feverfue blossoms and leaves in like an alcohol base. I like to use vodka for this. And you make a tincture out of it, and then you can take a few drops of that tincture each morning and it will prevent migraines. I've also found that Feverfue works just for normal headaches, even a tension headache or a sinus headache. You can even come out and eat one of the leaves or the petals, just eat it raw and it will work. So Feverfue, if you struggle with headaches, this is one you definitely want to include in your garden. Tucked in here beneath my peas, I have some Cary Sage. This is what the leaves look like. They're bigger than regular garden sage leaves. They're slightly fuzzy and they're very soft. Cary Sage has a very distinct smell. Once you've smelled it, you'll always recognize it. But Cary Sage is wonderful for stress. If you deal with chronic stress, a little tea made from Cary Sage is going to make your life so much better. So Cary Sage can help with lots of other things, but my primary reason for growing it is stress reduction. I love to use this in my calming tea blends. Also growing here with the peas, we have some wormwood. I'll show you the leaves. Wormwood is best known as a detox agent. You'll often find this as an ingredient in parasite cleanses. So I decided to go ahead and introduce it into my garden as a perennial to grow year after year, so that we always have this little medicinal friend on hand in case we need a parasite cleanse. So wormwood is another one to add to your garden. This is my dear friend lemon balm. And if I could only grow one herb, it would be lemon balm. Lemon balm is a nerving herb and it smells very lemony. It has this like bright citrus smell, and even just sitting here and smelling it, I can feel it. So it works very quickly to calm the nervous system. If you tend to be hypervigilant, sort of stuck in fight or flight, lemon balm can help you break that cycle and come out of fight or flight. It's also really great for like cortisol imbalances, hormone balance, thyroid problems. You'll read sometimes that people with thyroid issues shouldn't use lemon balm. I've kind of found the opposite to be true for my family. 2 out of the 5 people in my home have Hashimoto's, and those 2 love lemon balm. So do your own research, talk to your doctor, talk to an herbalist, and decide if it's right for you. But I love lemon balm. You can use this as a tea. You can take it as a tincture. Sometimes I even put lemon balm leaves in my bath water for a really nice, relaxing bath. There are endless ways to use this one. You can even eat it fresh in salads. And probably my favorite way to use lemon balm is I put it in my chicken broth. When I make like a bone broth, I add lemon balm leaves and it adds some medicinal benefit to my broth. Tucked back in here underneath all of the lemon balm, we also have oregano growing. And oregano is one of those herbs that is a must-have. It's great for pest control, but it's also a wonderful medicinal. You can make your own oil of oregano by soaking your oregano leaves in olive oil for about 8 weeks. And that oil of oregano is going to be a powerful antimicrobial, antifungal, We use it for all kinds of things. So oregano is a plant I cannot suggest enough, not just for the medicinal benefits, but for culinary uses. You can't make a good lasagna without oregano, so you definitely want to add this one to your garden too. So this is bee balm, and bee balm is also sometimes called bergamot. This is another plant that I love and would always grow in my garden. So when it matures, it grows these beautiful little purple flowers that attract the bees. I'll insert some footage here so you can see what it looks like. So not only does it bring in tons of pollinators to the garden, but bee balm has skin regenerative properties, meaning you can make an infused oil or a salve out of this, and it will help heal any sort of abrasions, cuts, scrapes very quickly. It's also really good for helping scars to heal up and go away, just anything for the skin. I use this in my Skin Trifecta oil, which is my personal moisturizer that we use, or that I use day by day. So, bee balm. You can usually find this one in garden centers too. A lot of people grow it as an ornamental and they don't know that it's medicinal. So check this one out. Next up we have marshmallow, and this plant is so fun. You can use the leaves or the roots. You can make a tea out of this or an infusion. There's tons of ways to use marshmallow. But my favorite use is for sore throats. It just adds a nice coating to soothe a sore throat. So I grow this one just for the sore throat benefits. Also tucked right here we have valerian. You may have heard of valerian. It's actually a common supplement that people will buy, valerian root, to help with sleep. But you can grow it yourself, and it actually grows these really beautiful flowers. So valerian is a really powerful sleep aid, but it's also helpful for just relaxation and stress relief. It's a hefty one, so go light with it when you first start using it, or you might sleep way too hard. So valerian is a good friend if you struggle with sleep though. And then I also in this bed have motherwort. Let me show you. Motherwort is a wonderful herb for women's health, whether it's PMS, PCOS, perimenopause. Motherwort is a balancer for all things with women's hormones. And so this is another really good one to add to your garden. And the plant is quite beautiful. And then this giant bush is Whhound. Again, you may have heard of Whhound. It's an old remedy. People used to make Whhound candy or Whhound cough lozenges. So you probably already know how we use this one. It's a good natural cough suppressant. But Whhound is also just good for any sort of cough and cold. So you can make a tea, you can make a cough syrup, you can make an infused honey. There's lots of ways to use Whhound. But this one should definitely be in your garden if you have kids who tend to get coughs in the wintertime. Grow some Whhound and you'll be prepared. So sage might seem like an obvious herb. If you cook with herbs often, you probably use sage, but it's easy to grow and it will come back year after year. You can see I have this ginormous sage bush behind me. The sage bush is 3 years old, and as you can see, it will spread rapidly. But sage is good for more than just cooking. In fact, sage is my go-to herb for sinus problems. So if someone in my house has a sinus infection, we are doing sage teas, a sage steam where we breathe in the steam from sage, and even doing a compress of sage leaves on the face. Do we look silly? Maybe. But when I tell you it helps with sinus pain, you just have to try it and you'll be amazed. So sage. All right, over here in the shade, it's getting hot, so we'll move to the shade. I have some comfrey growing. Now, comfrey is another really interesting plant, and it sometimes gets a bad rap in the medicinal world. It can be a bit controversial. While comfrey is not necessarily suggested to be taken internally, there are some risks to that. It makes a really wonderful oil or salve for muscle injuries or muscle aches. So if you struggle with an aching back after you've been working in the garden, you need to make a salve with comfrey, and it will help with back pain or muscle aches. So comfrey is a fun one, but I actually don't grow comfrey purely for medicinal reasons. I grow comfrey as a fertilizer for my vegetable garden, because Comfrey grows this deep root that goes deep, deep, deep down into the ground. And when it comes back up, it's pulling all of those good nutrients from deep in the soil up to the surface. And so it's sort of a natural fertilizer, and it's rich in nutrients. So you can make a compost tea out of this, where you cut your comfrey back, put it in a bucket, fill it with water, and let it turn into this steeped tea. Let it ferment and get really funky. You want to let it sit for like a month. And then you can use that as a concentrate and use it as fertilizer. So you'll use like, half a cup of your comfrey blend to a gallon of water, and then you spray that on your plants or water them at the root level with it. It makes a great fertilizer. So comfrey has lots of uses, and it's beautiful. It blooms these pretty flowers. It's pretty much done blooming now, so you can't really see, but they look like bells when they open, and they are just gorgeous. So try growing some comfrey, but I do recommend you put it in a container. I've put it in a bed because it will spread. It loves to spread, and it will take over. So keep it contained and enjoy some comfrey. One of my personal favorite herbs is spearmint. And spearmint doesn't get nearly enough attention in the herbalism community, in my humble opinion. But spearmint is wonderful for hormones. And specifically, I have PCOS. And so I tend to struggle with higher levels of androgens or male hormones, testosterone, that sort of thing. Spearmint gets that under control. It's a natural balancer, and if you are a PCOS girly, if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome and you need an herbal remedy, spearmint. Spearmint is your best friend. I like to make a tea out of spearmint and holy basil and red raspberry leaf and lemon balm. Those four together are like the magic combo. I drink that tea every day for hormone balance, and it keeps the PCOS symptoms at bay and completely under control. So grow some spearmint, and it smells divine. It smells so good. So this is another one you want to keep in a container. We have it in a little raised bed here because mints like to spread, and they will take over your entire garden. So put it in a spot where it's contained, and then let it get big, and it will come back year after year, and you'll have spearmint for days. Another fun herb to grow, and this one's really a fruit, but that one's elderberry. So I have elderberry bushes growing here, and you can see they're starting to flower. We're not quite to the berry stage yet, but this is actually when I prefer to harvest my elderberry. I like to harvest it as elderflower, and then instead of making elderberry syrup or something like that, I make an elderflower tincture, and that is the best for fighting the flu. It works better in my opinion. Try it for yourself and let me know in the comments what you think, if elderberry or elderflower is more effective. But elderflower can be taken as a tea or as a tincture. Both work really, really well. So add some elderberry bushes, get them established and growing in your garden. We really lucked up because we had about 5 of these just already growing here at the edge of our property when we moved in, and I was so excited when I found them. But we're adding more. We ordered 10 elderberry bushes to add to our fruit orchard because this is a staple, and it's something that I want to have more of so I can add it to more tea blends in my apothecary as well. But yeah, elderflower, it's the best, you guys. Give it a try. And listen, here's the thing. I know we're barely scratching the surface on herbs because there are so many options. We haven't even touched on things like rosemary, basil. I'm growing like 7 kinds of basil. There are just endless things you can grow that are medicinal. Roses are medicinal. Calendula flowers are medicinal. So my challenge to you is to choose 3 herbs and add 3 herbs to your garden this summer. Add a mint, add a lemon balm, and add a culinary herb like oregano, and just start experimenting. Try to learn to use them, follow along. I'll be showing how I harvest and use my herbs all summer long, and I'll show more of my herb plants as we go. We did a count last week, and we have something like 38 or 39 different herbs growing on our property. So I wanted to give you an overview of some of my favorites, but obviously we would be here for like 4 hours if I showed you every single plant. I'm a little herb obsessed. But hopefully this gives you ideas for the most important medicinal herbs to know and grow. And I would love to hear from you. What are your favorite herbs? What did you not see me mention that you think I should add? Give me more ideas, because I want to add as many medicinals to my garden as possible. So let me know what you think. Which herbs should I add? What herbs are you growing this year? And I'll be back in a few days to give you an updated garden tour, because guys, the garden is really coming along. So I'll see you soon.